But in my opinion, this is the most important hour and a half of your entire term. And it's not just because I'm doing it, okay? It's because if you understand the foundation, then you're going to have a successful term. Now, these are great questions up there, but for me, when I do club officer training, my number one question is, what's my job responsibility? What's my job? And what do I need to know to do to be successful? And we're going to talk about the base of that in this presentation. So is that fair? All right. So again, interrupt me, ask questions. We're going to talk about building new clubs. So we're going to talk about the mission and goals, the area director's focus. What is your job? We're going to talk about the steps to build a club. We're going to take you right through the steps on that. And I'll go ahead and do some advertising now. John is going to do a workshop after the next club officer training on the 20th, where we're going to do a workshop on building new clubs. And what you're going to see today is really the foundation of what you're going to see there. We're going to talk about the relationship between you and the mission of the district. We're going to talk about your responsibility in establishing new clubs. And we're going to talk about the tools and the support that's available to you. Because the district has resources to help you. You're not in this alone, okay? So my first question, and it was alluded to this morning, it's a Saturday morning in Southern California. Yeah, Diana was saying, what happened to June gloom? It's fallen into July, you know. But it's a beautiful day. But where are we? We're indoors. Why are you even here? And for me, the mission of Toastmasters is a very powerful reason why. We empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. Wouldn't you agree that's a good why? Yes. Think about your own self, how you have grown through Toastmasters. How that if you hadn't been in this program, as was mentioned in my introduction, I gained 5 promotions since joining Toastmasters. And I know at least 2 of them, it was the leadership experience I had as a Toastmaster leader that got me those positions. So I am so grateful for Toastmasters. It's literally changed my life. And it's great because I'm mentoring the top 3, and they've already kind of talked about some of my presentations. Good, because you've already heard it. It's good, you know. So the mission of the district is what? We build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. Now, wouldn't you agree that in the newspaper you always put the headlines, the biggest stories first, right? I think when the board rewrote this mission a few years ago, they got it right because they put first things first. The mission of the district, first and foremost, is we build new clubs. And we're going to talk about why that is in just a minute. And then supporting all clubs in achieving excellence, and excellence equates to? Distinguished. And so what I mean by that is if a club is not a distinguished club this year, that doesn't mean, oh my God, this is a terrible club, we should disband it and kick them out of the org. No, I'm not saying that at all. But if a club is not distinguished, it means in one way or another, they're not serving the members. They don't have the membership they need. You know, when I was on the board, we surveyed the members. And we asked, what do you want when you speak before your club? You know what the number one thing? An audience, all right? You know, you think about it. You practiced your speech all week. You've known it down. The dog knows your gestures. And you show up there and there's 3 people. It's like, oh, that's a letdown. So you want an audience. And if this is an educational organization, right? Yes. Newsflash. Okay, did anybody not know that? So if you don't have members that are progressing through the educational program, wouldn't you agree that we're not serving our members? And the average Toastmaster, you're going to get a lot of Toastmasters trivia. That's what happens when you get a PIP up here, okay? The average member of Toastmasters stays for 18 months and they give 6 speeches. And the reason why is most people join because they have a fear of public speaking. And by speech 6, they're starting to feel comfortable. They're like, okay, thanks, Toastmasters. I'm out of here. We need to make sure as leaders we're helping them to set goals so they stay beyond that. On the old program, personally, if everybody earned a competent communicator and left, I'd be okay with that. But at least they'd have the foundation leaving. But they've only given 6 speeches. But they're more than halfway. And they quit. By the way, this is your last year for that legacy program. So make sure that as your members are finishing their awards, transition them over to pathways. The way I'm encouraging them to do that is if they've got they just earned their CC, unless they're positive they're going to give another 10 speeches by June 30th of 2020, they need to get onto pathways. Because if you've got speeches 9, done, but not 10, it doesn't count for a thing, all right? So that can be an incentive. So we support all clubs in achieving excellence. All right, so speech contests. Is it in the mission? Hang on here. 20, 40, 60, 80 bucks there for anybody that can find speech contests in the mission of the district. It's not in there. Can I share my experience with you when I was an area governor? That was the term in the old days, area governor. Can I share my experience when I was a District 52 area governor? Yes. When we had DEC meetings, was that a yes? I think it was a yes. Okay, got to get permission. All right. When I was an area governor, when we had our DEC meetings, all the district talked about was speech contests. Speech contest, speech contest, speech. Linnea's shaking her head. She knows what I'm talking about. And Marcia was around in those days. She knows what I'm talking about.
I was probably the
And so when I had my area council meetings, and we do recommend you have those, once a month would be great, but every other month, just meet with your executive, which is the top 3 of each club. When we met to plan our speech contest, because that was what the district was focused on. And ladies and gentlemen, we had an amazing speech contest. We had 60 people in attendance. We made $400 profit from the opportunity drawing because I had a contest between all the clubs to see who would raise the most money. By every measure, it was an absolutely successful event. And then my area council didn't meet again until it was ready to plan the spring contest. And again, we had an amazing event. It was fantastic. And at the end of the year, the district was not distinguished. And that's when the light bulb came on for me. I went, wait a minute. The district spent all this energy and focus and time on something that wasn't even a critical success factor. So when we talk about, what is my job, we want to make sure we know what we're supposed to do, that it's the right thing. Now, clubs, we want all our clubs to be what? Distinguished, at least, right? If you go visit a club and you say, hey, this last year, you guys only earned 2 points in the Distinguished Club program. And the club president responds, yeah, but you notice how nice and shiny the lectern is? Not a critical success factor, right? So you need to make sure we're focusing on the right things. All right, so let's talk more about this. Okay, speech contests are not in the mission. Here's a trick question for all of you without going to the TI website. All right? Some of you are the real numbers people, and Marisa, if you've heard this before, you can't answer this. This is a trick question. How many new members have joined your area or division this last Toastmasters year? Roughly. This last year, not since July 1st, but the last Toastmasters year, roughly. Again, trick question. 80? Just new members, period. 6? Okay.
Only my club has 6.
6, okay.
It doesn't say new members.
Join the area. How many members have joined? Members joining, that's new. Members joining is new. New members in your area or division.
That's 0 because we just started. No.
Last Toastmasters year.
It is 0.
Last year, so let's say in 2000.
Now look at this.
All right. Let's come back. The answer is 0. The answer is 0. Those members, I told you it was look this up, trick question. All right. Those members did not join your area or division. They did not join District 52. What did they join? Club. They joined a club. All right? I'm taking this step by step so you understand what your job is and why it is your job, okay? So if we look at the steps for a guest becoming a member, the guest first has to find out, hey, there's going to be a meeting. They have to go to a meeting. They have to see a meeting that is a quality meeting of a group that they would like to be a part of. Somebody has to hand them an application. They have to fill it out. They have to give them money. They have to be voted in. You guys voting in your members? Right? Good. Yeah. Why do we vote them in? If they're a problem, you can vote them out. In District 33, they said, what happens if you didn't vote them in? Can you still? Yes, you can, but it's a little more complicated. Okay, so They vote in the club, the dues are collected, get submitted to world headquarters. Wouldn't you agree that's pretty much the process of a guest becoming a member? Unless the district officer is a member of that club, what percentage influence did the district have in that entire process? I don't like to say zero because the district could have had a training. Seriously, they could have had a training at a district conference or event about how to have a quality club meetings. They might have been promoting Moments of Truth, which is a great tool for districts to make sure, clubs to make sure they're putting on good programs. They would have done club officer training, which, by the way, it's a scary thing that in the VP membership training from Toastmasters International, they're not even training how to fill out the membership application. Pretty scary that that's not part of the training. But anyway, the district would have provided training. So I don't like to say zero, but it's 10, 15% maybe, right? Do you guys agree with me?
Yes.
Okay. So if a guest is becoming a member, whose job is that?
Everybody. Clubs.
The club's job. It's not the district. The district is an influencer in that, right? You following me? So it's the club that is doing this, not the district. And the same thing applies to membership retention. Members are leaving clubs because of what's happening in the club's level. And by the way, most members that leave, it's not even that the club did anything wrong. It all of a sudden had a change in priority. Life priorities change. They might have just gone through the program. Let's be real. A lot of people were advanced members. I don't like to use senior, but seasoned members. They're going to quit because they don't have any desire to do pathways. Is that your fault as a district?
No.
Can you stop that? No. Okay. I mean, we can do training on pathways, but if they have, I have a member of my home club. She's been a member for 20 years. She's a double DTM. She has zero interest in doing pathways, and she's already let me know. The next renewals period, I'm not renewing. Hate to see her go, but God bless her. She's been a great member of the club for so many years. A double DTM, I can't complain about somebody leaving. That's a double DTM, right? So membership retention, whose job is that? The clubs. The biggest mistake district leaders make, area directors, is when you take the monkey on your back that it's your job to save the existing clubs. That's the biggest mistake they make. Why? Whose job is it? The clubs. And by the way, all you area directors, I'm so excited for you because, in my opinion, that's the best job in the district. And I'll tell you why. You get to work directly with the clubs. You know the membership of the organization. The club member, the individual members at the top of the organization, and the club officers are there to support the club member. And the area directors, you guys are there to support the club officers. And on down the list. By the time I was on the board, we were passing policy where I didn't even see it implemented until I was off. But as area director, you're going to visit a club, you're going to make a suggestion. They don't report to you. You're like a mentor to them. You can offer advice and suggestion. And the next time you visit, they actually did it. It's like, whoa, this is cool. Like I said, by what I was doing, I was so removed from the clubs. I was off the board before it was implemented. Okay? Is this making sense?
Yes.
So we did put first things first. We build new clubs. Now, wouldn't you agree that in your clubs, attrition is normal with membership?
Sure.
You know, members are constantly leaving. What's a good goal for a club to be building membership? How many per month? 1 new member per month is a good goal per club, okay? It's not going to happen every month. Some months you might go 0, next month 2. But on average, so with our club growth goal on the Distinguished Club Plan of 4 new members and 4 new members, we're giving them a third of the year break. We're only asking 8 out of 12. But 1 new member per month should be the goal. And just like clubs will lose members, districts will often lose clubs. When Unical closed our headquarters in downtown Los Angeles, which is now Los Angeles Studios, and we lost 2 clubs out of 52, those clubs were gone. Done. There's not a bloody thing the district could have done about it, and there's no sense wringing our hands over something we can't control. You understand what I'm saying? Now, if we have a weak club, yes, and we're going to talk about that. We can put in a club coach there. and help them to build, but the club has to want it first. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
The district imposing itself and saying, what, you are a 10-member club? This is not acceptable. We are going to bring in a coach. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're gonna do that. No, because there are these clubs. I call them the fat, dumb, and happy clubs. They're 10 members. They're, let's call it a clique maybe, but they enjoy each other's company. They have fun meetings. They don't want the district's involvement. So you sending in a coach in that situation is a waste of energy for that person because the club isn't interested. Does that make sense? The club has to want it first. I like what District 5 is doing. I'm not recommending this per se, but before a club coach will be assigned for a club in District 5, they are requiring 100% of the club officers to be trained. Show us you have some skin in the game before we put some skin in the game. All right. A few years ago, I was up in Central California at Pismo Beach, and I was renting an ATV to ride in the sand dunes. And I'm signing away the legal disclaimers and signing away all my rights. And the guy says, do you mind if I give you a piece of advice? Sure. Why not? He goes, don't ride too close to the barbed wire. I went, well, yeah. He goes, no. Every year we have people that think they're far enough away from the barbed wire, they hit a rut and they get thrown into it. And so he said, don't ride too close to the barbed wire. Well, Alfred, what's this have to do with Toastmasters? Well, in Toastmasters, it is a very dangerous thing to set a goal to be just distinguished. Distinguished, we've agreed, is the minimum standard of success for Toastmasters. Wouldn't you agree? Mm-hmm. But Murphy is very active in Toastmasters, right? If anything goes wrong and your goal is only distinguished, you fall below the line and you've not met the mark. So we want to aim high in Toastmasters. Now, let's say your club sets a goal to be President's Distinguished Club, and you only, I'm putting air quotes, only make select distinguished. You think your club's going to get a nasty note from Agnes saying, what's the deal here? You said you were going to be president. No, there's no penalty for not achieving your top goal. So why not go for the goal, right? Nobody's training for the Olympics now saying, we're going for the bronze, yeah. I encourage you to set a goal to go high, and your leadership has done that. I'm very proud of them. There you have a goal to be a Smedley Distinguished District. Now for you, I don't know if this has changed. Is there now Smedley area? I don't think so. By the way, a little dirty secret about Toastmasters. The Smedley Award is the old president's. And I want it to be clear that you are writing the history of the district this term. A few years ago, Janice Walters was the district director. Do you know what the district achieved that year? President's Distinguished District. That's in the history books. Nobody can come back and change it. Nobody can take that away. She and her team achieved President's Distinguished. All right? The program I'm sharing with you today was used by one. I've had a lot of mentees over the years, and one finally took this to heart and really executed. Because as you know, it's one idea to have a plan. What's the toughest part? Executing that plan. She executed the plan and followed it through. Her name was Regina Rhines from District 1, and her goal was to be President's Distinguished, which is the new Smedley. And the result for her, using this program I'm going to share with you this morning, was number 1 in the Western Hemisphere, number 4 in the world. So I'm sharing this with you so that you know this isn't Alfred just talking today. He's not pie in the sky. This is actual practical stuff that if you will apply it, if you do follow it, you will be successful. Okay, so to be President's Distinguished Area, you have to have 50% of your base plus 1 distinguished. All right? And then you have a net growth of 1 club. And this comes back to the discussion earlier. If you want to be a president's area and you lose a club in your area, how many do we have to build in your area? 2. Okay? To be president's area. All right? And I would encourage all of you, don't even look at the other goals. They don't exist. This is it. Is that fair? Does that make sense? Why not go for presidents? If you don't lose a club, you only need to build one. Yeah, exactly. So that's why it says net one. I had an area director come and visit our club and was trying to tell my VP education that we had met our minimum for the Distinguished Club program because we had gone to 4 and the 4. We had 8 new members during the year. And I'm like, no, it's about how many paid members you have at the end, right? So if you gained 8 members and you've lost 9, you're minus 1, right? It's the net number at the end of the year. Yeah, you still get the points in the DCP for 4 new members, 4 more new members, but as far as meeting for the qualifications, it's the paid members at the end of the year. All right, so that's the area. Any questions? Yes, sir, Marcus.
So 50% of our club base distinguished or better, does that mean 2 out of 4?
Okay, yeah, 2 out of 4, right? If it's a 5-club area, that's why they add the +1 to make sure that you always know it's not 2, it's going to be over that. So it'd be 3 out of 5, right? So how do we make Smedley distinguished? That S throws me off. Smedley distinguished. We do it by building 1 new club per area. Because if we build, the TI website in a few weeks is going to come up with your base number, and they're going to have some bogus number that you're going to see on the dashboard for Smedley Distinguished. Pay no attention to that. Our goal this year is to build how many new clubs? 24. That's the only number you will ever hear from your top 3. And if you ever hear a different number from them, you let me know, okay? That it's 24, right? The reason it's 24 is if we do have 24 new clubs, and we could lose some clubs, and we're hoping we don't, but it could happen. We could lose some clubs and still meet the mark. Does that make sense? How many of you think it is possible during the entire year to charter 1 new club in every area? I really do think it's possible. I do think so. So we build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. Is it clear what our mission is?
Yes.
What's your number 1 job as an area director?
Support the club.
No, it's to ensure that 1 new club gets built during your term in your area. Okay? Now, we're not asking you to personally charter the club. What we're asking from you, and John didn't quite get it right, so I'm going to build on what he said. We're going to ask you for a lead. We're going to also ask you to find a sponsor and a mentor for that club. Because you're going to be visiting the clubs. You're going to see who the good people are in those, and they may not even be club officers, but you're going to see who the stars are out there and just approach them. Hey, if the opportunity presents itself, would you be interested in being a club sponsor or being a club mentor? So give us those 3 components. Once we have those 3, we'll take it from there. And obviously, if you want to be a part of the process, we'd love to have you be a part of it, but it's not a requirement. What's great about this, guys, is once you've given the district the lead, the sponsor, the mentor, you can say, okay, so when's the launch meeting happening? Come on, district. Let's get that club going. All right? But why even bother to build new clubs? Why should we even bother?
The health.
Health of what?
The health of the district, of the whole organization. Really.
The health of the organization?
Of the community.
The health of the community? For me, when I ask about this, I thank God for Beverly Andrews. Beverly Andrews is also a past district governor of District 52. She also was President's Distinguished. But more important than that, Beverly Andrews chartered 2 Toastmasters clubs at Union Oil Center in downtown Los Angeles. Thank God for Beverly Andrews. Because if Beverly had not chartered those clubs, I was in my 20s when I joined Toastmasters, so that tells you how long I've been a member, okay? As a young guy just starting my professional career, I was not looking for extracurricular activities. I was not saying, gee, my life's so boring in the evening. I wonder what I'm going to do to fill the extra time. Do you know of anybody that's saying that? I'm bored, No. But the company club met at lunchtime at my location. I was there. I eat lunch. And when a colleague invited me to attend a meeting, I went. And my life was changed. So think about your situation. How have you benefited from Toastmasters? And what an amazing gift this is to share the gift of Toastmasters by chartering a new club. Now, when again, the contests, everybody's so excited about contests. I said when I was outgoing district director, I said, I envision a future where we're going to have a future world champion of public speaking come out of a club that has not yet been chartered. And that's still yet to happen in 52. Lance came out of a club that already was in existence at that point. So, Beverly got a international president out of it, Whether you think that's good or bad, I don't know. It's up to you. But this is why I think it's important. I think it's always important to understand the why. Why should we do this? Why is it important? Why is it our focus? If we're not building clubs as a district, nobody else is going to, right? There could be an occasional club that just you have an existing Toastmasters, they go to a new company and, hey, we should have a Toastmasters club here. But that's going to be one or two. That's not going to be the kind of growth we need. All right? So the steps to charter, and we're going to go into all of these in greater depth, is it starts with a lead. We also need a sponsor and mentor. We're going to make the initial contact with that key contact. We're going to have a pre-meeting with them. We're going to have them do publicity for the launch meeting, and then we'll conduct a launch meeting. I learned that term from District 5. We used to call them demo meetings. And District 5 says, we wanted to make sure that it's clear that we're not there to demonstrate Toastmasters. We are there to launch a club. So that's why they call it a launch meeting. I said, I like that, so I use it. See, I take things from other people. I learn too, All right? And then they do the paperwork. John, do we have some experts in the district that can help with the paperwork? If somebody, okay, so yeah, so we don't. If you don't know how to do the paperwork, don't worry about that. And as area directors, what are we asking from you? One club per area, but what parts of it do we need from you? A lead, sponsor, club mentor. All right, those three things. All right. So as area director, again, what's my job? That's what I want to know in my training. What's my number one responsibility? Your number one responsibility is to ensure that a new club is chartered in your area. We want a viable lead. A viable lead means that it's not just St. John's Cathedral in LA. Good luck, have fun. We need the name of the key contact there, hopefully the highest person there, because we want to start there, and then an email or a phone number, a way to contact them. We don't need you to contact them ahead of time and say, do you want to have a Toastmasters club? Because you may not be comfortable having that conversation. We're going to talk about that script here, so you're trained on it, but we're not asking you to do that. Just give us that lead and the name of that person and how to contact them. And to the question that was asked over here, we're going to approach them, and if it doesn't work out, they're like, you guys interested in Toast? No. Okay. Next. And we're going to go back. Guess what? We need another lead. Is that fair? Yes. Well, when we charter a new club, we're not looking to poach existing members from existing clubs into that. We want to work with a whole new group. Now, sometimes this has happened with me. Some of the launch team may like this new group and want to also be a member of that club, so they become a dual member, but they don't drop their membership in their other club because, yeah, that could cause some resentment. And that's not our objective. That's not our goal. That's not what we're working at. And we're going to talk more about where those leads come from. If you want to participate in the process, hey, I'd like to be a part of the launch team, that would be great. You could even be a sponsor. I'd be okay with that. I don't know if Agnes is, but if you want to be a club sponsor, that's fine, because this process I'm explaining here, it's about a month that we're talking about, less than a month. Now, the world record that I'm aware of is a past district director from District 33, Wayne Schote. You know how long it took him from lead to charter? 90 minutes. He got a phone call. We want to charter a club. We're getting the group together. Can you come over? Oh, you betcha. He was there. They did the launch meeting, 90 minutes. So, okay. I'm not expecting that, okay? But people, the thing is, sometimes people work and struggle to get these clubs chartered. I had a mentee a few years ago up in Oregon, and she was saying, Alfred, we've got this club I inherited from the last term, and I'm just working so hard to get them up to 20 members. And I said, Michelle, you have to give them a deadline. And it's like, give them no more than 2 more meetings. If you don't have 20 people, pull the plug. We're done. And she goes, Alfred, oh, that sounds so cruel and harsh. Pull the plug, you know. I said, well, think about it. Let's say you happen to drag them across the line. You have 20 members. They're probably going to hang around next year. Guess who's going to be district director the year they decide to turn in their charter? She goes, oh, I hadn't thought about that. You know, you're creating your own problems. My philosophy is if we don't have 20 excited people when this idea is fresh and new, we're moving on, because otherwise we're just creating problems down the road. Is that fair? We want to have 30 people there at the launch meeting. Why? Because we're launching in one meeting, right? Okay, so if there's 30 people, we should get our 20, right? And so we want to do that. Now, full disclosure, the last club I chartered, the gentleman had promised he would have 35 people there at the launch meeting. The night of the launch meeting was Game 7 of the NBA playoffs. We did not have 35 people. We had about 15 that showed. And we signed up 12 that night. And the way the club met, it was the first and third Thursday, and it was actually the same calendar time this last week. The second meeting, the next meeting would have been the 4th of July. I said, well, we're not having a meeting on the 4th of July. So July 18th, I think, was the next date. I told them in advance, if we don't have 20 people by the end of that meeting, I'm done. We're moving out. But what he did was he followed up with the people that had not attended, that said they wanted to participate, and we did get our 20 members before we had that second meeting. So technically I did launch in one meeting, even though they didn't all sign up that one night. Okay? If it takes that next meeting, that's okay. But these clubs, and I've heard success stories where, yeah, it took us 9 months and the club still isn't, okay, great, that's the exception. But in general, I want to move quickly, I want to move fast. If we're building 24 clubs, do we have time to sit around and wait? No, we have to be moving around, okay? So if you want to be part of the process, you're certainly welcome to. Toastmasters for the 20 has a rule about that. How many must be brand new out of the 20? 17. So 3 can be existing members that are becoming dual members or dropping another club, but 17 have to be brand new.
What if you sold 20 brand new?
Pardon?
Nope, you gotta get rid of
Everybody's
them.
brand new.
Say, nope, we need 3 others.
No. We can have 20. We can have 20 brand news. We can have 25 brand new Toastmasters, because the mentor is going to help the club learn what Toastmasters is all about. Because you're right, if you had all brand new people, how do they know what to do?
Can it continue smoothly?
Yes, absolutely. And we'll talk more about that, okay? Moving on to leads, all right? So leads can come from world headquarters. Don't count on it, but they can come. They can come from world headquarters. They can come from current members. Ask members of your club, hey, do you know where we could charter a new Toastmasters club? You talk to your neighbors, your coworkers. District 52 years ago had a directory of all the corporations in the district. And it was huge. Peter Geisler pulled that together. And I don't know if it's still in existence or what. But another tool, District 1 mentioned this a couple weeks ago when I was training them. It's a tool I actually use in my work. It's called Reference USA. Write that down, Reference USA. You can sign up for that. It's free. And you can enter like a zip code and said, give me all the companies with more than 150 employees. It'll give you spit out a list.
And if you put like type of company or...
You can make it by type of company too. If you want industry, you can pick industry. But you might just start more broadly just for these zip codes. You know, give me the biggest companies. All right. Assess existing clubs for new club opportunities. You know, in the old days, we had these paper things called maps. And you could get them for free if you're an Auto Club member. Yeah, put it up on the wall and put pins on all the current locations of existing clubs. And you might all of a sudden see a big hole there in your area, like, whoa, you know, oh, it's a national park. Okay. If you give a lead that develops into a club, we're going to assign it to your area, even if geographically it's not there. And then next year we're going to realign it and put it back to where it should be. But for this year, we are going to make sure it's in your area that you get the credit for it. At the end of this year, when we realign the district for next Toastmasters year, that club would come out of your area and would now be more geographically close to its neighbors. But for this year, it'll be in your term. So if you're in the San Fernando Valley or Santa Clarita, you could charter a club in downtown LA and it would still be in your area. Now, if you have a lead in another district, should you still give it in?
No.
No.
Just teasing.
Good answer.
No. Yes, you do.
Of course you do.
Of course you
Of course
do.
you do.
Doesn't it stay in our district until the next?
No,
It
no.
turns it off.
So if that lead is at outside the district, we're going to give it to District 1 and we're going to let them work it, okay? And it was funny because when I was club growth director, or we won't tell you the ancient title that was back then, I gave a lead to my compadre in District 1 and she was shocked. She goes, wow, you gave me a lead? I go, well, it's in your district, of course, you know. That's just the way I operate. And I would hope if you get a lead in our district, you would do the same. I mean, that's just right? Let's be open, let's be ethical people. You know, our core values, integrity is our number one core value. I would never be able to accept an award knowing I had cheated for it. So no paper clubs. And when we charter these clubs, we want them to be sustainable clubs. We want them that they're going to last for a while, okay? And the Unical Club that I joined originally, we went from Union Oil Company to Unical during that time period. When the company moved out, the club was gone. And you could say, well, see, that's why we shouldn't charter company clubs. No, because during the 14 years it was in existence, I'm estimating 400 people got the benefits of Toastmasters because that club was there. And again, you got an international president out of the deal, so not too shabby. The reality is with corporate support, corporate clubs are easier to charter. Okay, what's the biggest issue with a community club?
Location.
Finding a meeting location, right? So going back to my point about assessing existing clubs, if you have a club that has a breakfast meeting at a restaurant, could you have an evening club meeting at that same restaurant? Absolutely you could. Why not? And I will tell you this. The people that are available in the morning are not available in the evening, and the people that are available in the evening are not available in the morning. They are not going to compete with each other. McDonald's is a great example of this. There's a 6-lane road I know where at the same intersection there's a McDonald's on the southbound lanes and there's a McDonald's on the northbound lanes. Opposite sides, 3 lanes, 3 lanes. Why? And both are successful. Why?
Going and coming.
Why are they both successful? They don't compete with each other. It's because people are too lazy to do a U-turn. I'm guilty. When I'm looking for a place, I'm driving down the street, I'm only looking to the right. I'm not looking to stuff on the other side. So when I get to okay, I'm turning to the right, it's the easiest. I'm not looking about, whoa, I got to do a U-turn? Forget that. And so they don't compete with each other. So you can think about time diversity. Company clubs, some people, same thing. If they have a lunch meeting, possibly they could have a meeting before lunch or before work or after work as well. To me, you know, my experience is corporate clubs at lunch is just ideal, but again, you could explore those other alternatives. So target communities over 10,000 people. Do we have some communities over 10,000 people here? Yes, sir, you have a question?
Over the corporate, we don't sell Toastmasters membership for just getting through the manual, a year commitment from the company to keep the club going?
No. John Greiner was my 3rd VP when I was international president, and of course John went on to become international president. And when he was international president, he did a presidential visit to Standard & Poor's in New York City. Have you heard of Standard & Poor's?
Rating agency.
S&P 500?
They downgraded the U.S. debt.
And this company club, you know what they do? If you get a competent communicator in their club, Standard & Poor's pays the member $1,000.
Wow.
Now think about it from a corporate standpoint. Is that a good investment?
Yes.
Think about the skills that member has earned, achieved by going through and giving 10 speeches. How much more effective a communicator they are on the job. It's a good investment. I just was wondering what the waiting list is to get into that club, right? When we talk about communities over 10,000 people, guess what? McDonald's has already done your research for you because McDonald's uses the same formula. They build a store for every population of 10,000. So count up all the McDonald's in your area, and that's your opportunity. I had a district director in Founders District a few years ago, and he said, Alfred, we're Founders District. We're the oldest district in the world. We're saturated. There's no more opportunity. I said, look at the number of McDonald's in the district. You've got a club per McDonald's. He goes, oh my gosh, we have so much opportunity. We need to think abundance, folks. Need to think abundance. Other opportunities are community centers, libraries. When I visited a club in Toronto, Canada, they were meeting at a public library. It's a great spot. There's some. I want to expose a lie that was said earlier. Is that okay? Sure. There are people in this room that do not know everything. That was a lie. Okay? They don't know everything, but they can get the answers for you. And just like all of you, this is what the wonderful thing about Toastmasters is. Eric will tell you this. He's an outgoing district director. All years long, he's learning what it's like to be district director. And finally in May, he's going, okay, I finally get this. I understand. Yeah, now I know what I'm supposed to do. Now I know what the focus is. Now I know. And guess what? It's somebody else's turn. He's out. Agnes is in. So all year long, all of you are going to be learning all year. And obviously, in this hour and a half, we're not going to give you 100% of what you need to be successful, but we're going to give you the foundation. Is that fair? Fair. And a lot of it you're going to learn on the job. Yes, sir?
So, you put libraries, and there used to be a club, let's say, in downtown LA library, but then they said, because Toastmasters charges a fee, they can't give them a room.
Okay.
So, I don't know if there's a way, I know, for example...
Okay, but there's always ways to get around that. So would they allow you to rent a room?
I don't know, maybe.
So maybe if they, then you charge that. Where my community club meets now, we have to pay rent to meet in that location, and we just add that to our dues. One of the biggest problems with Toastmasters, in my opinion, is that it's so darn inexpensive. And there's something in some cultures where they say if it doesn't cost much, it can't be worth much. If it costs $200 every 6 months, people are like, ooh, this is really valuable. If you compare the cost of Toastmasters to even a community college course, we're in an amazing bargain, aren't we? Yeah. So it's okay to add those extra fees, make sure that you're able to support the club. That's just an idea. When we give money, it has to be used for educational purposes. Just so you know, I'll just cut to the chase. It is an illegal use of club funds to buy opportunity drawing prizes for speech contests. Let me say that again. It's an illegal use of club funds to buy opportunity drawing prizes. Okay? Raffle. Yeah. They have to be donated. Club funds cannot be used because we are a 501c. We're a nonprofit educational organization. And buying opportunity drawings is not educational.
Is there anything else they can't buy?
What do you mean?
Sandwiches, Starbucks cards.
If you are having a meeting and you're bringing guests an open house and you want to provide sandwiches, that's okay because it's for the purpose of that meeting. All right,
But
to bring in guests.
Individual things for members, like a Starbucks card, if you get a CC, is that okay to use the club money for things like that?
Yeah, because you're rewarding educational things. Yeah. All right, so let's do a 5-minute brainstorm session. Where could you build a new club in your area? When I was a new member and the VPE would schedule me to speak at the next meeting, I would be like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. And then a couple days later, I'd be in the shower, all of a sudden I'd get an idea. And I think that this new club idea is the same thing. You may right now not know exactly where that club might be, but your brain is going to work on it. Your subconscious will. In a few days, all of a sudden you're going to find out, oh, I know where we could do one. When you approach a corporation, let's say it's a company that does not have over 150. What if they're only 90? But they have a nice boardroom that would work for a meeting room. Could we still approach them and say, would you mind if we had an open club here? What do we mean by an open club?
Not limited.
Yeah, you don't have to be an employee.
Yeah, what's a closed club then? You have to be part of a specific subgroup in order to be a member of that club. When I chartered my corporate club at Beckman, when I was international president, I did this. This was kind of cool, you know. I'm doing a launch meeting as international president, you know, and the district director is there. Everybody wants to see the international president do a launch meeting. And we did a closed club. We said, you don't have to be an employee of the company, but they had security to get in. And so we said you had to be somebody that was approved to work on site. So you could be a vendor, you could be a contractor, but if you were able to get on site, you were open to be that club. So it was a closed club, but that was our rules. Just the reason was I didn't want to deal with going to the front gate and bringing people in, and then they're late, and then you're late for the beginning of the meeting, that sort of thing. Your number one job is to ensure a new club is chartered in during your term in your area, right?
Right.
It's your number one job. I honestly believe that it would only take 2 hours of focused brainstorming to come up with a club lead. Now, I'm not saying 2 hours all at once. I'm saying you just did 5 minutes, so you have an hour 55 still left. You have a DEC meeting. You spend 2 minutes brainstorming with your DEC. A few minutes here, a few minutes there. I think by the time you had spent a cumulative total of 2 hours, you should have a club lead. And I've not had anybody come back to refute that. And if you come back and say, Alfred, it was 3, okay, I'm okay with that, you know. But I honestly think if you really focus on this, and if this is your number one job, let's get it done, right? Why wouldn't we want to build that club early in the year? Now I ask you, why would we want to build that club in the year?
Early in the year?
Yeah.
Does it take time to start it?
We want it. No, it's going to take a month. We build clubs quickly, and I'm going to show you the process right now.
Get it done.
Because in order to be a Smedley distinguished club, a district, you have to do a few things. We have to have net club growth. We have to have net membership. It's 8%, by the way. This should have been a slide, but I guess it was. 8% membership growth, 8% net club growth. Now, theoretically, you would say, well, if we build 8% net club growth, we're going to have 8% membership growth, theoretically, right? But the reality is people are leaving clubs faster than you're building new clubs, all right? So we have to go, you know, it doesn't quite work out that way. And then you also have to have the area and division directors trained. And what was the other thing? There was one other thing. But anyway, those are the main things. Oh, and percentage of clubs distinguished. Now, that's never been an issue, the percentage of clubs distinguished. So as leaders, we want to focus on the thing we directly control. What is the one critical success factor we directly control? Building new clubs, right? Can we make our clubs distinguished? No. Can we make members join existing clubs? There's only one thing we can directly do. What is it? Build new clubs. And so the great thing is when we build a new club, we're also bringing in members. And if we charter before October 1st, we're going to get an initial charter payment. And then they're going to collect dues in October, and they're going to collect dues in April. So that's 3 member payments. So if we can charter a club by September 30th, that would be the best case scenario for the district because we're going to get 3 member payments for each person that joins. And we're building good, sustainable clubs, not paper clubs. So next year, we expect they're going to pay their 2 payments next year as well. So it's going to continue on going forward. Does that make sense? All right. So, club sponsors, this was your question. What's a club sponsor? What's the job of the club sponsor? Charter a club. Charter a club, that's right. Get the club chartered. So what they are going to do is, once you've given the district the key contact, they're going to contact the new club lead. Now, if the sponsor you find in your area is not comfortable with this, we'll train them, or we have a district a team that's going to actually help with that initial contact. They're going to serve as the TI contact for the launch meeting. They're going to recruit their launch team. The district, again, will have resources that will be available. But if you have a club that wants to be a part of this, you can recruit members from that club where the club sponsor is a member of that club, and the whole club can get credit.
For the members of the club.
Yeah, they're to set the club on the right course, all right? If you think about an existing club coach and a new coach, new club mentor, they're very similar as far as the skill set. All right, so they have to guide the club through the first 6 to 12 months. TI says 6 months. Personally, I want my mentors to be with the club at least a year. That's just my own personal thing. TI doesn't require that, but I like to see I'm still with United OC 4 years later. That's and I will stop meetings and say, okay, I'm speaking now as your mentor, we need to correct this right now. Because I've learned when the standards aren't enforced, they go sideways. I visited that club I mentioned that I chartered when I was international president. I'm no longer working for the company. I visited them a few years ago. And the general evaluator did not know it was her job to evaluate the evaluators. That's the way my clubs work. The general evaluator evaluates the evaluators. And it's not like she was a new member. She was the club VPE, and she didn't know that. So when the standards aren't enforced, they get forgotten. Okay? Make sure the club officers understand their duties. Does that mean the club mentor has to have served in each of the club offices? No. No. But they should know what the job is. They should know what the duties are so they can explain it. Familiar with the Toastmasters educational program. What is that educational program for new clubs? Pathways. Is there any other program? No. Doesn't exist. Pay no attention to what's going on behind the curtain over there. It's pathways and pathways only. Should the new club mentor be in pathways? Yes. They should know how to log in. They should know how to navigate. It's not an easy application to use, let's be honest. But they need to be versed in it. They don't have to have completed level 5 or whatever, but they need to be in the program. And then recruit and retain members. The biggest mistake new clubs make is they don't think that they need to be working on membership building. You have to right from the beginning, because brand new clubs will also lose members. Okay? And this was brought up earlier. The sponsor can also be the mentor. And you can have 2 sponsors, you can have 2 mentors. Some people use 2 mentors. If the mentor can't be there all the time, that's a good idea. Personally, I don't like having 2 mentors, because when you have 2 people, you have what? 2 opinions, right? Have you seen variances between clubs and how they do things? And so if I have another mentor and they don't agree with me, then they're wrong, you know. So, so this is Alfred's way. This is the way. Because quite seriously, folks, there's everything, the way I design my meetings, it's all mapped out for a specific reason. For instance, we have the general evaluator call on the individual evaluators, and then we vote for best evaluator. While that vote is happening, the grammarian is giving the report, because if we jump right into the general evaluator evaluating the evaluators, they could maybe influence the voting that is happening right there. Everything that happens in my club meetings is thought out like that. Nothing happens by chance. So again, if I had somebody else, somebody says, what, the general evaluator value the evaluators, that's ridiculous, I don't want that. Well, no, this is how people improve. All right, so now we've got to get through this quickly. So we want to contact the top person in the organization. Why? If they're on board, we just made it easy, right? Yeah. So then we want them, are going to give them the golden sentence when we contact them. You ready for the golden sentence? All right. I'd like to have a short meeting with you to discuss the benefits of having a Toastmasters club in your organization. You need to write that down. I'd like to have a short meeting. Short meaning if we ask for an hour, they don't have an hour. This is the top person in the organization, the CEO, the executive director, the top person at that organization. And the benefits, what's in it for them? It's not, well, the district set a goal to build 24 new clubs, and you're in my area, and so we want to meet with you. You could be my club. No, what's in it for them? Okay. So when we have that pre-meeting, we're going to discuss the benefits of Toastmasters. We're not going to discuss table topics. What instead are we going to say? Impromptu speaking skills. We're going to teach impromptu speaking skills. What's in it for the organization? When I meet with these executives, I usually start with, have you ever had a business meeting that didn't start or end on time? And they go, oh, of course they have, right? Never ask questions you don't know the answer to. Right. Yeah, of course they have. Yeah, through the whole day off. Well, Toastmasters can help you with that. Have you ever had somebody present to you and you could tell they knew their material, but they just weren't able to get to the point? Toastmasters can help you with that. Just a couple, and quite often when you meet with these senior people, they know about Toastmasters. They've known somebody that's gone through it, or they might have themselves gone through it. So it is no longer the best kept secret. And they'll talk quite often, oh yeah, I love Toastmasters. What can I do? Okay, this is going to be easy, right? Impromptu speaking. Performance appraisals. When I was an IT director, I had a staff and I would do Toastmasters evaluations. Employees don't want to feel beat up when they get performance appraisals, right? So here are the things I'm enjoying. I think you're doing a great job with these areas. Here's a couple areas that you might want to improve on. All right? And this is a great closing statement. I said, having a Toastmasters club in your organization will help your employees improve their communication skills as they talk with your management team. Do they care about that? Yeah. Their peers, and most importantly, your customers. Who's going to say no to that? Right? All right. We set a launch date for no more than 2 weeks out. Because if I say now, we're going to have a launch meeting on August 19th, what are all of you thinking? Like, ooh, that's a long way out. We'll worry about that next month, you know. No matter when you send a launch meeting, it's always going to be an inconvenient time for somebody. So just pick a date. We want to have no more than 2 weeks out because you want at least a week for publicity, but you know, enough time that you can get the publicity out as scheduled, but not so far out that it just like falls off the edge of the calendar. All right? We want a minimum of 30 people, and we already discussed why, right? Because we're launching in one meeting. And then we get a quote of support for Toastmasters. Whenever I've asked the executive for that, they have always said yes. Sometimes they've hesitated. I said, we'll be happy to draft one for you. Oh, of course, absolutely. They'll be great for that. And then the dues. You have to figure out what the dues the organization is going to pay. Some companies will pay for the international dues. Some will pay the charter fee only. Find out what they're willing to pay. But you just want to know ahead of time, and you want to go into the launch meeting knowing what the cost is. Ladies and gentlemen, to be a member of this club, the cost today is $76.22. I mean, whatever it is. And even when companies say, oh, we'll cover all the costs, we have the budget for it, I say that's great, but we're still going to charge $1 per member per month club dues because I want them to have some skin in the game. What I found is when the corporation pays everything, the members don't get engaged. I want them to pay even a nominal $1 per month. Let's get them engaged. Okay. All right. So we set a launch date. We want a minimum of 30 people. We need a statement of support because people are busy. Nobody's oh my gosh, like I said earlier, I'm just so bored. I just need something else in my life. So here's my quote. The skills you learn in Toastmasters will help you in your career here at XYZ Corporation. I encourage you to check it out. The big boss. If you get an email with that signed by your CEO and then it's followed up by, hey, in next Tuesday at lunchtime, we're having a launch meeting in the California room. Are you going to go check it out?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. All right. And the biggest mistake that people make is when they don't collect the prorated amount on top of the 6 months. It's a psychological thing. And I do this with brand new members, too. You don't want to collect $40 from a new member and then come back 2 months later and say, oh, we need another $50 from you. They go, wait a minute, I just paid you for it. Now you want $50? What's the deal here? You know, you guys are bleeding me dry. I'd rather charge them $95 up front, and then the next time their dues renewal comes around, it's $50. They go, wow, this is a bargain. It's all psychological. And especially with company clubs, getting that check could be a real problem too. So make sure you get that prorated. This is the #1 mistake districts make in chartering clubs, when they don't collect that prorated amount. Know that cost so when you do the launch meeting, you know what it is.
What's the charter fee?
There's a fee that Toastmasters International charges to charter a club. It's currently $100 and
25, I think?
$125. Yeah. Pardon?
Plus tax, so it's
Plus tax.
134 and change.
Plus tax and license. Your actual mileage, very. Okay. All right. We're going to do more about this when we do the meeting with John on the 20th, but you launch team, you don't want the world champion, you don't want Maurice there giving a speech because they're going to go, what are they going to say? I can't do that. I can't relate to that. You want somebody that's about 3 or 4 speeches in, they're fairly new, and have them talk. Here's what I want them to talk about. And it should be a project speech, so they're getting credit for it. How I'm already gaining benefits by being a member of Toastmasters. That's what we'd like them to talk about. We don't need a general evaluator, grammarian, all those other things. The sponsoring club, like I said, if you have a club that's sponsoring the club, they can provide some of these team members. You need to make sure you have a closer. A district, I won't name the district, but they recently had a launch meeting, and guess how many people they had in the room? 100 people. You just heard the story. I had 100 people in the room. The district was expecting 3 clubs out of that. They didn't have a closer in the room. They didn't ask for the sale. How many people did they sign up that day? 0. 0. You have to have somebody that's going to have the meeting and say, who's ready to join? Is that hard? Who's ready to join? All right, here's what the cost is. All right. So it has to be an abbreviated. Another mistake they made in that meeting, they scheduled it for 90 minutes. No, launch meetings are an hour. And the first 30 minutes is really the demonstration part. You leave half hour to answer questions and get people signed up. All right, make sure to ask, who's ready to join? If you have people in the audience that you know that are already shills, they want to be club officers and stuff, hey, who's ready to join? I do. Okay, we're getting our 20 today. And Marie says, well, I don't have my checkbook, I said, well, Agnes has hers. I'm sure she'll cover you and you can pay her back, But we're chartering today. You could say, being a charter member, you need to talk about the benefits of being a charter member. Charter member is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for that club. Once that charter paperwork goes in, nobody ever again in the history of that club can be a charter member. And charter members are very proud of it. I remember my Yorba Linda Achievers Club, which just celebrated 25th anniversary. A member would stand up every meeting. My name is Eli Ruiz, and I am a charter member of this club. And, of course, our newer members, they learn by observing others. So this guy joined, and he said, hi, my name is Homer Smith, and I'm a charter member. And no, Homer, it's not how it works, Club number 1, the first club in the Toastmasters International, Smedley Chapter 1, was having their 70th anniversary dinner one time, and I was going to that. I mentioned that to my club, and somebody said, oh, Alfred, are you a charter member of that club? No. And then you work out all the details after. What's the club meme going to be? This is the great thing about chartering a new club. They get to establish the culture of that club. How often are they going to meet? What time? What date? What, all those things. The dues, make sure you have the prorated amount, right? And then, again, the paperwork the district has experts that can help you with that. Well, the person that's doing the launch meeting would borrow from their club the timing light, the stopwatch, whatever they need to conduct the meeting, maybe even a lectern if you have a folding one like that. And so, yes, Cersei?
District 52 has that.
Okay.
Let us know, and we will make sure.
There you go. They have extras that they can lend you. And then you need the applications. You need the charter paperwork. So when you submit when you submit the paperwork to International, they'll send you the kit that has the charter applications in there. All right. We're going to skip ahead because we're out of time here. What date by which will you have a new club lead? Okay, so we're going to do a roll call through the areas. Who's going to help me with that? And we're going to collect that date. So again, we're not telling you what that date would be, but I'll personally plug before August 30th because we want to charter that club by September 30th if we can. I think it was the most important hour and a half of your time. Because hopefully you've asked the number one question, which is, what is my job responsibility? And what do I need to know to do to be successful? Yes, you're going to be visiting your clubs, but you're going to be an influencer there, right? This is the one thing we as a team directly control. Everybody wants to be part of a winning team. You are writing the history of the district. And ladies and gentlemen, if I didn't think it was possible, I've already met and I know your top 3. They're sharp. And now that I've met all of you, I think you're sharp as well. I'm originally from 52, so I have special allegiances to 52. I'm not wasting my time here today. If I didn't think it was possible, if I didn't think you could do it, I wouldn't be here. So ladies and gentlemen, let's focus, let's build those clubs, and let's be Smedley distinguished. Yeah!